Living ways of heaven, not a fool, but flowing land. Land with stealth and speed, our ships to fly like shadows through the night. We hunt our prey with cunning schemes and strike with skill and might. Might! With stealth and speed, our ships to fly like shadows through the night. We hunt our prey with cunning schemes and strike with skill and might. Might! Shoot, loot, and recruit, that's the pirate's code we bear. In the depths of space we roam without a single care. We find our rise, we make our move, then bring up to their knees. Join our crew or face the dark, your choice if you please, if you please. We caught a ship one quiet night, alone so lost in space. We hit 'em fast, we hit 'em hard, left no room to escape. Their shields went down, their hull breached out, we boarded with a grin. And there they were, their guns in hand, a firefight to begin. them out, and down they went to the cold metal deck. With weapons drawn, we stood around, their fate now ours to check. But then we spoke in voices low, you know you messed up, friend. But here's a chance to mend your ways and not let your venture end. Shoot, loot, and recruit, that's the pirate's code we bear. In the depths of space we roam without a single care. We find our lives, we make our move, and bring them to their knees. Join our crew or face the dark, your choice if you please, if you please. They looked around with fear in eyes, but saw flickers hope. We offered hands, patched their wounds, and gave them room to cope. Fly with us and learn the ropes, defend and fight with pride, or drift alone in endless void with nowhere safe to hide. Shoot, loot, and recruit, that's the pirate's code we bear. In the depths of space we roam without a single care. We find our prize, we make our move, and bring them to their knees. Join our crew or face the dark, your choice if you please, if you please. Now they sail among our ranks with knowledge and with might. Once a captive, now a mate, they've learned and see the light. We teach them how to fend the dark, to fight and stay alive. In this cold expanse, they found a home where only the strong survive. Shoot, loot, and recruit, that's the pirate's code we bear. In the depths of space we roam without a single care. We find our lives, we make our move, and bring them to their knees. Join our crew or face the dark, your choice if you please, if you please. So here's to those who've joined our cause, from foes to friends they've turned. In the void we share, we stand as one with every lesson learned. Shoot, loot, and recruit, our mantra and our creed. In the endless black we reign supreme, the only law we heed.
Comfortable with the sticks.
All right, guys, and we're live. Welcome to our second episode. Episode? Do we call these episodes?
Sure.
Our
More like
second,
happenings.
right? Our second podcast of the year. Welcome to the Captain's Log. I had with me a couple guests today, as per usual. So we have Acid, our commander of the skies, fighter extraordinaire. We have who do we have? We have Overseer, our master of the men on the ground, our Boots McGee, Mr. Overseer. And finally, our research and development master is Stompy. Welcome, guys. Sorry, guys, my brain is just not. I feel like I'm always like this every single time. Like we get to this and it's because I haven't prepared. I really don't, guys. I
It's
don't
okay.
prepare for this.
It's a
I
great
just-
segue to our first sponsor. Cruise Lux will help with that, Kelbeck. It'll get you the energy you need on the go everywhere, all the time.
I mean,
Cruise
I don't have
Lux.com
Cruise Lux,
for
but I
more
got something
info.
close.
Use code Hellstern at checkout for
Cruise
a
Lux
90% discount. Bring that
Cruise Lux
$7
skills.
price
Love
to about $1.
To about $1. No, that's what is it, like seven credits?
Yeah. Yeah, they are 7 credits. Yeah, as a matter of fact. I'm accurate in my joke making.
So today's stream, we figured we'd kind of come back to the roots a little bit. We're gonna talk about the tale of two systems. We have Stanton and Pyro, and I don't know. Some of you have been back to Stanton since the launch of 4.0. I haven't. I have not gone back to Stanton. I've had no reason to. There's just so much to do in Pyro, despite the fact that most of the missions are still missing, and despite all the bugs and stuff. I don't know. So
it's preferential.
I'll have to defer to you guys on what's going on with Stanton.
I would say that Stompy and I have spent the most time in Stanton out of out of the 4 of us here because I set my home spawn as Stanton at the beginning. And so I've spent 50-50 time Pyro, 50 times Stanton. I've probably jumped through the gate, 30 plus times already. And I enjoy, and I honestly I have not had one crash jumping out of the gate. Noted. I want to note that, which is how good the jump gate's working. I've gone back and forth plenty of times seamlessly. Like, yeah, you have maybe a little frame drop or stutter here and there in the jump gate. That happens. Won't deny that. But I'm getting to and from both locations seamlessly. I know some people have had a little issue with like you go all the way and then it spits you back out in Stanton. I've heard that's happening a bit. I haven't experienced that, but I acknowledge that that is the case. But I haven't heard many people like just flat out crashing out of the game in the jump gate. And I think that's badass. I think that's really cool. And like we're getting a lot of server transfers, and there's the problems with that, but just in general, the server meshing as a whole like seems really good. I know there's plenty of other problems, but like that sole part of it and what it needs to do, which is transfer us from a server to server, that's working. It is doing its job, so that's where they go from here. And
I wonder if
it's
that dictates the time through the hole itself. Like, does a hole the pathway to Stanton and or to and fro, does it take longer to get through it if it's having a longer wait time to transfer from server to server? Am I not
that's definitely
understanding?
something to test actually, is like go through the jump gate a bunch and test how long it takes. And you test like the same trip. So going from Stanton to Pyro, test that, and then test Stanton to Pyro again, and Stanton to Pyro again, and then you test a separate test of Pyro to Stanton and Pyro to Stanton and Pyro to Stanton, and see how close your numbers are. And if they're like close enough, then no, it's the same. But if there is a difference, then it would probably be like if there's server instability, it could take you longer to get through a gate, or it could have made the gate longer. Maybe I don't see
I
that right
mean, that
now.
could
They
be a new metric
seem
in judging the server, if so.
It could. They seem about the same though. I'll say a jump normally seems about the same amount of time to and from every time on just like feel. But yeah, Stanton, as far as performance, to answer your question, Stanton performs well as Pyro, 50-50 on both ends. I think maybe Pyro is a little worse, and that could be because of population.
So, all right. I think last session, last Thursday when we were on here last, we talked about what did we talk about? Didn't we talk about like pyro and the contested zones and stuff like that? Pretty sure we
Well, you
touched on it.
also I wasn't there for the beginning, but I know the latter half was a lot of like reactions of Spectrum and the performance of 4.0 was
Oh,
what y'all
okay.
went
Yeah,
over.
no, that's right. That's right. It must have been the last one of last year. Anyways, so um at one of our shows we talked about the contested zones and the experience that we've all had, and that was only part of the conversation, but the focus was on pyro. Now, just to kind of remind and touch base, the contested zones are um well, in my opinion, they're amazing. I love the fact that I can log into the game, walk out of my halves, go downstairs, put on a kit, and just go start killing people.
Yeah.
Um,
That is
and it's
fun. Yeah.
it's catching on too, right? So there are more and more people going into the contested zones. In the beginning, excuse me, in the beginning, you had a whole bunch of people going in there, but they were going in there just to kill, right? They didn't know that there was an objective in there.
Hmm.
And then now more and more people are realizing that there's an objective in there. So before, once you get past the fuse doors, um, you ran into no resistance. It was just a cakewalk. Now you're actually experiencing people throughout the entirety of the contested zone, and so that's awesome. Um, Now I know
And
in
when you mean
Stanton,
people, it's groups too. Like
yeah,
y'all will run into like groups of people.
yeah, don't go in
It's
there
exciting to
solo,
watch.
not unless you want to come out with your kit
Unless you're like very
or don't
like
wanna.
seasoned too. If you understand how it works and like what to do, like you can do it solo. Like don't get it twisted, but like don't be don't be hearing about the contested zones or know they exist and then be like, I'll just go down there myself, like I got hours in Tarkov, man. It's like you don't know the layout though, and you don't know where to go. You don't know NPC spawns. Like if you're gonna go down there low, man, you need to know your shit.
Something
You're
I've
gonna get
Not
robbed.
to
noticed,
mention loadout
something I've
preferences are
noticed, and maybe you
appropriate.
guys can correct me if you feel I'm a little off or something, but um, while they made the changes to ships to where it feels more like a numbers game, where the more ships you have, the um better chances you have of winning. That's fine, thanks.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like that's almost the case in the contested zone too. Like, if there are two or three of you versus one of them, more than likely they're gonna die, right? That's just how it's numerically. That's just how it is. But very rarely have I ever seen one person go down there and literally by themselves kill an entire group of three or four.
I would say
No,
it's it's rarer. That gets into the more of like I was saying, like you've got to be kind of skilled. You got to know your ins and outs. You have to know the layout. Like I don't know the layouts of these locations well enough to go in there solo. I haven't been doing them enough. I can go in there with Stompy and like I'm good enough with my FPS skill to go in there with Stompy and follow him and watch his back and kind of learn from going through with him. And then when we're in a group, it's much easier to let down my guard and really pay attention. But like myself, I would not feel comfortable and I would not go down there alone. I don't know what I'm doing well enough yet. I don't know all the ins and outs, all the angles, all the peaks. Like I'm still learning that, and it's going to take time for me because I have other things I'm doing as well. I've spent the least amount of time in those zones compared to y'all. I enjoy the fuck out of them, though.
well, I mean,
Nonetheless, it's
uh,
really fun, but I wouldn't go in there alone yet.
so all right, so we talked about the contested zones, and we talked about kind of what their purpose was, and more people are catching on. That's awesome, and we're now finding people consistently throughout the contested zone, including at the very end. Like before, you'd get to the end, and you just sit there and be like, all right, someone watch the door. There's probably not gonna be any action, but watch the door anyways. The rest of us are gonna clean this up, right?
Hmm.
And now there's actually a reason. Like when you get to the end, you can run into people at the end. Not
Hmm.
just get to the end, it be empty, and you have to wait for people to show up. No, no. Like you get there and there's already people there, and you have to fight for the loot that's there.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, that's the pyro side, and that's one of the more interesting things to do here in pyro. The missions, they're kind of lackluster. The space is beautiful, by the way. It may be a lawless zone, but it is still just as gorgeous as Stanton. In fact, I would argue even more so. And I'm not talking about the stations. The stations are garbage. They're trash everywhere, pieces falling off, rusted, lots of damage, just shit. Stations suck ass,
Planets are so much
E-
prettier.
except for Gaslight. And I will never gaslight you on that. Gaslight's a nice looking station.
I agree with the fact that Pyro as a whole is more beautiful than Stanton too, and like discounting the fact that it's literally bigger and so there's more size, so there's just more to like. But it is, I think there's so much more detail because of how big it is. They were like, we really have to pay attention. It can't seem any sort of repetitive. And in Stanton, like there is repetitive feeling in Stanton. Every planet feels kind of like the other planets because there's a couple moons or that orbit it, maybe a different distance than the other ones, and then you have a couple of Lagrange points outside it, and that's how, and they're just split up, and there's four of those. And
So
Crusader, in my opinion, maybe it's biased because I live there. Crusader does feel a little different. It's that lawless. You have SPK, you have Grimhex. There's a little bit of a different feel there, so it's more unique. But as a whole, I mean, they're kind of repetitive. And in Pyro, you don't get that. Like in Pyro, it's like there's asteroid bases near this. We've got a base near the sun. You've got Bloom. It's got Obituary near it. You've got Terminus way out there, and that's got fucking Ruin. And then you've got Checkmate that's kind of centralized. You got the Stand Gateway that's way over here. Like everything feels way more just attention to detail. And so that alone is beauty opposed, like aside from just going to Bloom and looking at how beautiful the clouds are, or one of the moons that's just desolate.
does it does it feel to you that well, first off, the space in Stanton. would you agree that there is not enough nebulous activity or anything like that? It's just kind of boring backdrop space.
Maybe. I I want to
Okay,
see
let me
how
let
the
me let
solar
me let
flare
me
changes
reframe this.
things.
Would you agree that that Pyro, when you're flying through Pyro, going to different locations, that the volume of nebulas, the coloration, the stars, that it is objectively more beautiful just even flying in space.
Yes.
I would say it's more dynamic for sure.
Also, to bring attention back to the chat real quick, Mageless right here says that he's done it. He's cleared 3 to 4 people out by himself.
I mean, well, and that's they're like I know Stompy probably has. I don't doubt Majors has, and there's a handful of guys that we play with that do it so often. They know what they're doing. They know the objective and they know what to pay attention to. But like if you sent like no offense, but if you sent Overseer and I just to go in, the two of us, and get it done, I don't know how well we're gonna do. I don't know if Overseer and I know the layouts of every station yet and could just go out and get boards yet. Maybe, maybe we could figure it out on our own because we're smart individuals. But like, I mean, a guy like Stompy is going to be able to go in every station, and he does go into every station, solo it, get a comp board, and move out, roll out, Autobots. It's done.
I'm not saying a word because you are on par.
I mean, that's
I'm gonna stay
how it
humble.
is. Like, and like Mageless is probably the same. Like he said, like you do it enough, you learn it enough, you know exactly what you're doing, and so you get in, you get out. There's also no wasting time. Like their objective isn't to go in there and kill 3 guys. They do it because they have to, not because they want to. Their objective is to get comp boards. Like they get the cherry on top of getting the bodies.
That's a fact.
Yeah, but we're gonna be hush hush about those boards.
Well, it's
There's
you've
there's
got a
enough other
million
resources
people.
out there. Yeah, there's enough resources
We
out
don't have
there
to talk
that.
about how to do it, but a million people know they exist. The cat's out of the bag on that one.
Okay, so let's do some more comparisons, Stanton to Pyro. How do they measure up? So let's talk money. Legal money. Let's talk legal money.
Okay.
Which system do you think makes the most?
As it works, or if it were to
Yeah,
work
all right.
properly.
So yeah, no, like bugs aside, bugs completely aside.
Uh, it's hard to say, man. Like legally, I guess. What is legally? Are you defining legally as just verified missions in Pyro? Because technically, there's no legal versus illegal. So, like, what are you
Yeah,
dictating as
no.
the
So
legal equivalent in
basically,
Pyro?
you're when I say
Any mission
legally,
you
I
can get out
mean
of your movie.
in Stanton you have verified versus unverified or legal versus illegal.
Yeah.
So taking the legal route, whether that be salvage, whether that be mission running for bounties, whether that be cargo hauling, whatever the case may be, whether mining, which do you think, which system do you think would earn the most money? Now, since Pyro is a lawless system, there's no such thing as unverified over there, which technically isn't true. There are some unverified missions,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
um, there is no UEE there. Thus, there is no law. Thus, there's nothing illegal there. So
Mhm.
all of Pyro versus the legal side of Stanton.
I think in that aspect, I mean, I think it's kind of hard to say because, like you said earlier, some of the missions in Pyro aren't working. So, what are we not seeing that we haven't seen yet? But if that's the case, I think Stanton. I think you have a lot more offerings, Stanton. Because I mean, if you open up your missions tab in Stanton when you're allowed to see your missions tab, if you get a crime stat, you get like shunned for a while, and you need to waste some in-game time to get them back.
Shun the non-believer.
Yeah, literally. But I think Stanton because for one, like player bounties alone, if you could track them down, they're not exactly working well. They're $150,000 a player head.
Yeah,
So that
and that
alone is good.
I've noticed that they don't
That's really
fluctuate
good.
either. Like it used to be that the price on their head would be higher the more criminal
That
status they had.
Yep.
but now it's just a hard 151.
Yep,
Well, if you see a
151K.
CS5 as a new player, you're gonna be intimidated instantly.
True, I agree with that. Like now it's just like everybody's across the board. That's a criminal. Yeah, they have their individual crime stat, but they're a criminal now. They can be hunted.
It's up to
Doesn't
you to
matter.
see how deadly they are.
True.
But that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
I agree. I think
I like the old
I
system
like
better.
that you make more though. I didn't know that.
From
they
a
have
skill
to
standpoint,
charge for that.
it blurs the lines a little more and allows people to feel comfortable and allows for activity and reaction,
and
which is the whole point of this game.
And it incentivizes doing it with someone else as opposed to doing it solo because it's more money. Like if I don't know how the splitting works. I know some people. I know like it's said that they don't split money, and then some missions might split money, and the rep's different. And so I don't know how the bounty hunting works. I haven't done it. I haven't gotten a completed bounty hunt, so I don't know how it would work splitting it with somebody versus myself alone. But let's say it's so high priced, maybe they don't split that and it goes amongst people. It incentivizes more people to do it. And it incentivizes more people to do it if it is split, because now everybody who's in on this bounty makes $150,000. Like when we kill it. So if like four of us need to go down and hunt the guy, everybody's making bank. It's not like we're splitting 60K between four. But I agree with Kelbeck though. Like depending on the level of status, it would make sense that you would get a higher payout because that's how real life works. You know, the more of a criminal, the higher the bounty is. Like that's how
True.
it is.
Yeah.
But it would deter people from hunting down the highest level because they're like, that might be a sweat lord. And that's what
Or it would
be
attract the right people.
it does, and it did. And
Yeah, I agree.
I ultimately would still agree with them doing the old model, like Helbeck said, of like higher pay. But I think in their head, their reasoning was based off of Stompy's mindset of it's deterring people from doing.
I'm not the mindset. It's more of a devil's advocate mentality where I completely like the levels portion because if I went to a CS5, I knew what I was getting myself into, and that's just from experience and playing. But from majority masses standpoint, because gentlemen, we have to remember, and viewers out there, we are the minority of players that are absolutely mad decent.
Yeah.
At being in dogfights. I'm not talking about green. I'm not talking about intermediate. I'm not talking about expert. We are like mad decent, and we know what we're getting ourselves into. We want a challenge. We know where a challenge is.
Mm-hmm.
But for those of you that just want to make money, I mean, all I gotta say is, good luck, have fun, and stay alive, citizen.
All right, let's touch on a different topic. I know we didn't really come to a definitive result.
Well, what is your opinion? Do you think you've spent all your time in Pyro? Like, what do you think about the legal and money? How easy do you think it is in Pyro?
Well, if you're only talking legal, I mean, I don't know what they've raised a lot of the caps to for mission costs, but I have a Zeus that holds 128 units of cargo.
Yeah.
And Red Wind offers lots of different contracts for cargo hauling.
Yeah.
I've gotten so efficient at that Zeus that in a single run, I'm pulling 500. Well, we'll be modest with 400K. Okay.
Yeah.
These missions are 50K a piece. I'm stacking missions, multiple missions into my Zeus. The thing is packed to the gills. Literally 152 SU of cargo when it's only rated for 128. And I'm pulling 400K a single trip.
That's min-maxing. Never heard it.
That is it. And
so I mean, it's not the best money that I could possibly make, but it is better than some of the other options that are available. Now, I've heard talk of the headhunters missions and how quickly they are to, or how easy they are to complete. And Shaw, he's making 60 to 90K a mission.
Yeah.
And their missions are right next to each other, so he just jumps, and he can earn money faster than me.
He's created a goddamn circuit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and that does allude to like that you can make really good money in Pyro when that is working, and that is, and the flip side that Stanton has those things too. Stanton has these new, they're similar to the combat beacons that you used to get for NPCs in deep space, where you'd go help a guy out and protect the the ship. They have
So
those now, and they have a yellow, an orange, and I'm sure it goes up to a red. And you can just repeat these missions, and they're all in the yellow asteroid belt. You just got they're inconsistent, unfortunately, but in the idea that they're working properly, I mean the second level pays 78K a mission, and you could farm it out in like 5 minutes, and you just
right.
jump to another spot in the yellow ring. So like you're making just shy of 100 grand every 5 minutes. That's pretty fucking good money.
Yeah. So I mean, ultimately speaking, I mean, I don't know the missions in Stanton anymore, but I mean, like you said, I haven't left Pyro since 4.0 started, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I have loved living out. Believe it or not, you know, everyone is under the assumption that Pyro is just this massive anarchist zone and you're going to be shot on sight every single time. I can't say that that is further from the truth. Hold on. I can say. Um, it seriously is further from the truth. When you again, Azus, easy fucking pickings. I can be shot at any time and destroyed and not be offered an opportunity to defend myself because that thing doesn't maneuver. It's undergunned. It's designed for cargo. It looks great though, but I mean, still, it's not going to win any fights. It'll win a beauty contest, but that's about it.
Yeah, debatable.
That being said, I've never died in that ship. From the time that I've never died in that ship. From the time I started Pyro to now. Now I'm sure people are going to start hunting me and go, that guy. Zeus, let's take it out. But no, I can come and go from Checkmate, Obituary, Ruin, and never be stopped to be killed. I can be down at Rustville. I can be down at any of these other locations. And the only people come to those locations are other haulers like me. Because there's nothing there. There's no reason for other people to go there. There's no value. Our cargo has no value. That's cheap shit, right? It's waste, it's aluminum, it's the non-valuable stuff. There's nothing to loot from us that's of value that's worth their time. The location is out of the way, or it's unhospitable. Like Pyro 1. Pyro 1 is 225C. Or 24. Either way. Fucking hot, right? No one's gonna be on the ground on foot waiting for you to ambush you. There's nothing at Rustville to buy. Maybe a helmet, maybe a multi-tool, but you can buy those anywhere, right? There's nothing valuable there. So all the places I've been with my Zeus, no one's stopping me. No one's coming to kill me. Now, I've died in my Guardian, I've died in my F7. When you're in a combat ship and you're looking for combat, you find combat. It's guaranteed you'll find combat. But they've done a really good job at making the hauling missions go to places that are not in a spot that PvPers would want to go. The only people that would go to these locations are escorts, which we do run our own escorts, or you just really feel like killing someone and you know exactly where there's going to be someone to kill.
Yeah.
That's the only two people that are going to be over there.
Which is allowed because it's Pyro.
That's right. Don't be bitching about it. If you see this down the road and you decide to take my path and go and haul boxes from point A to point B, even though your boxes are worth nothing, even though you're going to a place that has no reason for someone to be there and there's no value in killing you, someone will still kill you. So, congratulations. And you can't bitch about it.
If you cross my path and I have
it's not murder
lux
if laws,
in my
right?
system.
It's not murder if there's no law.
True. It's just death.
Majorless, I treat the whole verse like Pyro.
That's also a valid way of playing. You can do it. And Omega brings up a good point, which he just said, which has a factor. And let's talk about that side of it. That's a good segue.
Yeah, that's exactly where I wanted to go.
Illegal money.
Well, not even the illegal money. I wanted to transition to what did I want to transition to?
Illegal money.
Sure, we'll talk about illegal money. Go for it.
Well, okay.
Until I pick up the next thing. Sorry, I
how
took
do
a bite
you-
of chicken and my mind just went blank. It was just
Hey,
that good.
listen, El Pollo does that to you. Know what I mean? No, because he brings up a good point with Stanton isn't safe from it, and Stanton is not safe from it because there's a lot of like very comfortable haulers right now, just moving to and fro that are slim for the pickings. You've got comfortable salvagers that are slim for the pickings. I mean, they're out there
They-
just salvaging away in
and
the
that's
belts
but that's the funny
you
thing.
know?
The things that they're hauling in Stanton are actually worth something.
Yes, like RMC. Like if you catch a vulture pilot with even just 12 RMC, like that's some good
That's
money.
100K. That's 100K
Yeah,
right there.
it is
Well,
worth
90K.
your time to like unload that right now. If you go to the right spot, like you can do it without getting in trouble. If you know how to do it, you can do these things without incurring that crime stat. There are plenty of places that salvagers go that have no comms on their own. You just have to know where to look, you know? And then it brings to pyro. You don't have to worry about the comms. There are plenty of places that salvagers go in pyro. There's plenty of salvage to be had because there's a ton of dead ships. And I've seen a handful of mining vessels leaving places like Checkmate, you know. Like I see moles going more often, you know, they don't have the little Lagrange points they can work out of as easily because the refineries are all so centralized.
Well, I'm gonna say that mining in Pyro is not worth it right now. I think the rare
Yeah.
materials that are there
Mhm.
are so rare that. So first off, let's put it into perspective. I was watching a video and I agree with it wholeheartedly. I can't remember who the video artist is, so if you watch this down the road, I'm sorry, but credit to you. So there are 3 new ores, sort of. There's 2 new ores in an element. So you have silicon, you have regcite, something like that, or rixite, anyways, and I can't pronounce the last one.
Yeah.
It starts with an S, and I can't pronounce the last one. I'm not even going to try. But there's 3. Okay, these 3 ores. The one that with an S is the most valuable at roughly 19K, and that's if you haul it back to Stanton and sell it. Okay. The other one, Rixite, is somewhere around 14K, I think. And silicon is inexpensive. It's dirt cheap, sand cheap, silicon cheap. The Of the 3 ores, Rixite is rumored by CIG. Well, it's rumored because I haven't read anything, so I'm going to say it's rumored. But supposedly CIG said that it is even more rare than Quantanium. And Quantanium, as we all know, is the material that is used to refine into quantum fuel. And it's volatile before it's refined. However, Quantanium is still worth more, which, by the way, the value of it has gone up. It was 25K last patch, last major patch, and it is 27K now. So it got a 2K up boost to it. Anyways, Quantanium is worth more than the material rumored to be rarer than Quantanium. So what is the value, first off, in going for these new ores? Why hunt for them? What is the purpose of this? I think they need to be more valuable or more abundant or both.
The cost per time payout is just not there.
That's a really good point, honestly.
So talking about mining, just to sum up again. Too rare, too little, too much distance.
Yeah.
Like Overseer says, the cost of time is not worth. So mining in Pyro, I don't see it. The only reason to mine in Pyro is when we finally have bases to build and things to build and we need the materials. Otherwise, the value is not there.
Which I'd wager the majority of those would probably still be easier and more abundant in stamp.
The depending on what is needed, like there could be something that, let's say, you need ricocite for when you're crafting, and so like it won't be in stand, so you have to go to pyro and fill in your favorite no security system here.
Now, I'm pretty sure that those two new ores, silicon might be somewhere else, but I'm pretty sure Rixite and the other one, I think they're only pyro.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I could see how it'd be only pyro, and then you get another ore when X comes out. And it makes it, and then there's going to be a lot of base ores that are every. Which, like, those will probably be your standard crafting material. It's like if you want to build a wall, let's say, hashtag Trump. No, I'm just kidding. if you want to build a wall, you need, like, let's say 10,
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall.
And you find 10 everywhere. 10 is in pyro, 10 is in Stanton. It's on every moon I've scanned rocks of 10 everywhere. So if you need to build a wall, you can build a wall anywhere you want. You can find that anywhere you want. Now let's say you need to build electric wires specifically for like auto turrets. Let's say that you only need that special thing you said that started with an S. Let's call it soliloquy. Let's say you can only use soliloquy to build these special wires. And that means you have to go to Pyro to get that resource to build your wires for your AI turrets at your base. Like that's where I think mining's gonna all of a sudden take a huge jump, is when those resources are needed for these building tactics. And it's like nobody's taking it to the refinery. They're taking it back to base to be refined and utilized the way that their org or their base, their people need.
And here's the thing. Once we have base building and a demand for the materials, that's when the player market's going to emerge, like really emerge. Right now, the player market exists, but it's only for gear. It's only for, weapons, armor, stuff like that. Or in rare cases, things like rare collectibles, things that are hard to find, like the alien artifact, the pristine one. Or the Pico with an inventory. There's a little Pico doll that has an inventory, and people will collect that just because it has an inventory. And you can only there might be 2 ways to get it. I know one way for certain, and that's from SPK, from getting it from the evidence locker. Anyways, I digress. So, once the player market emerges, that's when value of things are going to go above and beyond what the devs have set it. So you're going to have, let's say Rixite, right? Let's say, I don't know what material Rixite is, but let's say it's a different, let's say it's a base building product. You need it for base building, which is probably the case, by the way. So let's say that you need it for base building and one specific module of base building. Let's say it's for the generator, a tier 2 generator at that. And people want to build the tier 2 generator. And Rixite is only 14K on the market to buy. You can't buy it. You yourself can't buy it, but the game is buying it from you for 14K. So that means players are going out, they're mining it, they're refining it, and now they're holding stock of it. And the players are going to sell it to those that are building, making bases for their orgs or for themselves, doesn't matter where, and that value is going to go up. People are not going to sell it to the NPCs anymore. Now they're going to sell it to players. And the players are easily, at minimum, paying double the cost of that. So now you're looking at 28,000 at minimum. But I guarantee you it's going to go higher than that. We're looking a couple 100,000 per SCU. Okay, so let's say 200,000 per SCU. Now that Rixite that was really, really rare and only worth 14K, now you're getting 200K in SCU. That's worth it. that's worth the hunt.
Yeah. And I hope for the sake of like that gameplay loop that it works out like that. And the same with like some other of the gameplay loops that aren't really flushed out, like hacking. I want to see how that works out, and I hope that that's something that people are really interested in, because I would love there to be like a skill level to it, and like people running around and it's just like, I'm a hacker and I do like hacking stuff, and that is like, I'm really good at it. And when they have that skill tree and all the things you can get and blueprints and whatnot, like you have hackers that you go to get certain things because they're the best in what they do. Like, I want to see that flushed out. I want to see it worth it. So I want to see mining worth it too. I want to see those things really work out and pay off. So that way, like, everybody really has an interest in, for one, wanting to play the game, but also, wanting to join like a big group and join our org only. Don't join another org, only this one. This is where you'll come. We need hackers. Come on board, hackers.
We do need hackers.
I know how hard it is to
gotta hack that shield generator down on the neighboring base.
Yeah, exactly. I bet that's a thing too, is like, you could go in and you could probably destroy those, right? Or you could blow them up from the air with enough firepower if they weren't defended properly, or you get your super duper hacker, That would be fun.
So we don't know the details on base building yet, but based on what they've said during CitizenCon and other times, the idea is that ground forces go in and they're able to penetrate the shield barrier on foot, and then they're tasked with the job of taking the shield generator offline once they're inside. And then ships can bombard from the outside once the shield generator's down.
That does make sense.
So,
it's true. We need hackers.
Now, I would love the ability to not just raid a place, but be able to take it over. Like, I don't want people to be building bases, right? I don't want people to be building bases and then just see husks of raided bases all over the place, because you can't do anything with them. So why not allow us to take it over and then deconstruct it from the materials to go improve our base?
Yeah. And then you leave it open, somebody else can build a new base, or they can build a new base. They can come back and
basically
rebuild.
So I would love to see those mechanics change.
Strategically, reposition their supplies back at your base again.
See, and I was gonna say Omega brings up a good point in the chat, not just storage theft, but theft in general. Like, storage theft is a big thing, because like breaking into a base and like stealing like their storage, that could be a thing. I'm curious to see how that would work with the way they have freight elevators and stuff right now. But I hope that there's a way to do that. But like ship theft is you're gonna have a whole like theft ring of people who are like good at stealing, and like right now stealing, like anybody can be good at stealing. It's not that hard. But down the road, who knows how they change things when stealing another ship and taking it somewhere and getting the blueprint for it is actually a thing. It might be a harder task to just take someone's ship, Like, what if that's where hacking comes into play? What if you get in a Connie and it's like, I need a guy in the back who's going to be able to like hack the cockpit so I can turn on the controls, make that would be sick.
Turn the ship turn that ship
will they make the ability to hack, or in layman's terms for you chatters, lockpick the fucking shit, basically? What process, what method are they going to use? 5M? Are they going to spin off of 5M's way of lockpicking cars and have you put together a bunch of geometrical shapes? Are you going to have a certain difficulty of locks or hacking processes you have to do in order to get to it? I don't want to know, because you cannot steal a ship by just dumping a bunch of rounds into it. It don't work like that. You got diamond space glass. Come on, boys.
Well, no, man.
I want to know.
I do agree. I think it should,
it's too easy. I can go take an 890 jump right now by myself.
All right,
and if all of that was in play, I'd make a fortune.
Here's what I want to do. I want to shoot the owner of that ship as he goes running back to it. I want to drag him back to the ramp of his ship and I want to physically grab his hand and place it on the button so the ship goes, "Oh, welcome back, master," and opens up.
Smack his face against the door for an eyeball ID, bro.
Yes, you sever his head. You tractor beam his body up to the facial.
Or better yet, just fucking go to the body and steal his Moby off his body and use that for recognition.
I don't know. I like Keezy's idea of Dance Revolution. Every time you try to steal a ship, you have to dancing board required. You have to hit the right button.
Hell no.
You better get full perfect arrows on that bitch.
Yeah,
that name better be on fucking point, boys.
When they get VR in, it'll turn into Beat Saber. You know, VR players get Beat Saber as a way to unlock a ship, and then we'll get Dance Revolution.
Yeah, that's Helldivers. Up, down, left, right.
Oh, guys, man, we're gonna raise the stock in fucking DDR pads.
Hell yeah. But that's
no, I mean, I think it should be a computer terminal thing. But here's what I hope that it's different per manufacturer.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
And
I can tell you exactly how you.
Can I be a smartass? Real quick, you think that CIG is going to create an individual way to hack ships per manufacturer?
Oh, absolutely.
No, absolutely not, because they're fucking lazy.
I hope so. That'd be sweet. I love your idea. Honestly, it makes sense. It's realism. It's beautiful. Like I would love the challenge. Honestly, I welcome it. And that'd be super sick.
Guys, I'm gonna show you exactly how you hack a drag ship. Ready? Okay.
Here's the panel. Hawk tool.
Maybe.
Here's the panel. Ready?
Yeah.
What? Sorry.
There you go.
You say that, but it's impossible to break inside a Herald.
Get away with
downright impossible to break.
Get away with that tick ship. Fucking. Where's the fuel tank? That thing never. You know why you don't see a Herald anywhere?
It is the fuel tank, bro.
You know why you don't see a Herald anywhere? Because there's no fuel tank. They don't fly.
Damn, that was a good one. I haven't heard that one before, actually.
Hackers inquire here.
You know, they're gonna the clothes that you can buy at the stations and everything. Like you can just get civilian clothes. That's going to come important because the way you're going to hack a Drake is taking your freaking trucker hat off and slapping it piss out of the dashboard and telling it to get.
Yeah.
So the Herald is 80% engine, 10% interior, 10% cockpit.
It's a pocket rocket.
Yes, my plan is working.
Where's the fuel tank?
Podcast is only about the Herald. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that'll be next week's podcast, guys. Tune in as we debate the.
It'll just be me talking about the Herald, just me alone talking. Tune in, guys.
Anyways, yeah. All right, so
back to comparing and contrasting our tale of two systems.
That's right. Sorry, we got a little sidetracked, guys. Sorry about that.
So do you what? Sorry, keep going.
No. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
So, like, do you think that for ones like me, like I'm more like Kelbeck. I spend 98% of my time in Pyro. Like the only times I'm actually going over to Stanton anymore are just to either one help ensure that someone has decent transport or assistance over at SPK at that point. So is there an enticing factor to go over there? Someone who enjoys when I'm being shot at so I can shoot back, quote unquote. And then just so happens if I win that battle, I'm not going to let those components float around there in space for nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, would you recommend going back for that reason? Like, how are people you guys
like you're talking in Stanton?
In Stanton.
I mean, I feel like part of the reason you would want to go back to Stanton is for like that security mindset. I mean, just because I'm totally down with wrecking other people doesn't mean like I might want like a chill moment to do something. You know, like if I want to go make some money and I want the idea of like less looking over my shoulder, like I'm still going to look over my shoulder. People can still commit a crime on me in Stanton. That of course is going to happen. But it's a lot easier to like know, oh, I'm going to go do a bunker mission. I'm going to go, I'm going to get some guns out of it. And that's the other thing Stanton has, like, as a matter of fact, the other day we found scorched compensators in Stanton. So Stanton has just as good loot. Yep, Stanton has just as good loot as Pyro. And I mean, I've found railguns and missile launchers in Stanton as well. So
that's a good point.
What is that?
So that's a good point. So remember how, well, I don't know if you were there for that conversation, but we had a conversation about how people were complaining that everything was locked behind Pyro, all the good stuff, all the fancy little new stuff that was locked behind Pyro, and people had to go to Pyro if they wanted to get the new stuff. And yet here you are in Stanton, the safer, more lawful system, and you're getting just as good loot as we're getting. In fact, more of it even.
Well, it's like I've always said, knowledge about the game is the biggest skill in the game. So those people have what I would like to call a skill issue. And that's as simple as that. They're just
that's fair.
Like, I mean, I'm still. I told somebody
I was gonna pull a tissue up and say that here's the tissue for your issue, but I don't know where my box of tissues went. I apparently do not masturbate enough around my desk.
I was telling this to somebody yesterday about Stanton too. Is there's new POIs on moons and planets that were not there before, and like I'm still like sometimes people are like, wait, what? There's new yeah, there's new POIs. Like if you look at see, there you go. If you look at Daymar, like there was a couple more POIs on Daymar than there used to be, and I've gone to them, and they are not some old POI that is renamed. It is a new location that was not there in this spot. And I checked other places and they have new POIs as well. And I haven't gone to every single new POI to see what they like.
That could be because they're trying to do that whole like 3,000 POIs on one side of a planet kind of thing, and they're trying to scale up to that. I don't know.
No, that's valid. But I mean, Stanton has a lot to offer to answer your question, Overseer. Like, there's plenty of stuff to do that would want to draw you back. The safe mindset, good loot. You want to get some. I think there is some stuff that is cheaper in Stanton as opposed to Pyro. Like if you're getting a ship, they're the same price in Stanton. If you buy like a Buccaneer, same price.
So, speaking
Guns
of ships,
are kind of the same price. Yeah.
There's only like two places. I think two places to buy, and I believe that's Obituary and Checkmate. I don't know if Ruin has a shipyard, but it's very select ships, right? And most of it's Drake, right?
A lot of it, yeah.
That's all that's there. Very few ships are offered there. If you want a ship, you have to go back to Stanton. You have to go to New Deal or to Astro Armada or to the Crusader showroom. Those are the only places that sell all of the ships.
And so if you components,
speaking of ships,
yeah, and very specific components too.
What was that over here?
What I'd like to see implemented in the future. This is not in the current, obviously, but could you imagine? And I think they could easily do it. But could you imagine having a used ship dealer? Right, it doesn't have all the components on it, or it doesn't have any weapons, or it just has mixed match, but the shell is there, and it has a power. It's got cores, a freaking power drive. You're good to go, but the rest of the stuff you're going to have to probably fix, right? The shield generator.
This
here's the thing. This
is what you call the junkyard.
Yeah,
I know. And that price fluctuates. You see, it fluctuates when the prices of certain materials go up and down. They just set per ship what specific materials, whatever they want to, really would have been in that ship's production, and it goes up and down exponentially due to the price change of materials for those used ships. But they're cheaper than buying a new.
CIG, if you're listening in, either now or in the future, I have a suggestion for you. Create the not the scrapyard, but create the salvage yard. Okay, players go steal ships, and they sell them at the salvage yard. The whole ship, sell the whole ship at the salvage yard. Doesn't have to be your ship. Okay, that ship is now resold in the salvage yard, but not all the components are there, and the components that are missing are random because maybe someone has picked through and bought the components. Better yet, the ship and the components are sold separately, so you can buy the components and the ship, and it'll probably be maybe almost as much, if not more, than the actual ship would have been if you have to
What
buy
if
them all separate.
what if I told you that CIG is probably going to give us those tools to do it ourselves? Because
Oh, I
that's
know.
what I understand and
They are.
interpret from our last CitizenCon.
No, they are. We're gonna get so it's a slightly different image there, but I mean it would be for the solo player that wants to go around with the SRV and just steal ships and sell it for a profit. I mean that's just straight credits, right?
Yeah.
For those that are in an org that are building stuff, you can take ships, whether they be yours or someone else's, or ab- abandoned, whether it be for a moment or not, or recently abandoned with bloodstains on the floor. We won't ask why.
Felon. Excuse me. Sorry.
um, you take it back to your hangar at your
Strategically applied.
base, and
Mhm.
the hangar will deconstruct that ship into materials, and then you take those materials and you can fabricate anything else you want with those materials. I would turn it into other ships.
Yeah. You turn it
I
into ships. You
I
can
still
turn it
think you
into.
should be able to buy
And
used
here's the
shit.
funny thing. The developer who is making this feature is actually highly on board with that exact scenario. In fact,
Perfect.
I believe him to quote him or paraphrase what he said. Um, he's actually excited about that.
Good.
Basically, going and stealing a ship and bringing it back to your fabrication hangar and deconstructing it and using those materials to make your own ship. So,
Developer is actually a bro.
yeah, right? So, for me, I would go out and steal every Drake ship I could, and I would cringe the entire way home until I was able to rip it to pieces, and I probably wouldn't get much from it, to be completely honest. It's Drake after all. But what I did get from it, I would turn into something nice and sleek and functional, like, I don't know, an Aegis ship, like a Saber.
One day I'm gonna take you on a really nice exploration trip, like when we're in some downtime, just like a really nice high admiral exploration trip. But like you won't know where we're going. We're gonna keep you blinded in the captain's quarters, and then we're gonna show up, and it's gonna be the Drake Interplanetary Expo. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, tearing every one of them apart, I would. You're right. You're so right.
It's that's the hardest thing to serve under you. I'll say that is the Drake hate. I mean I could deal with almost everything else, but the Drake hate is just it is something else.
Hey, you would be surprised, all right? I actually own a Drake. It's just not out yet, and so
True.
for me, there's two things that a ship must be. It must have some form of usefulness. First and foremost, it has to have a use. It can't
Yeah.
just be for looks. So Origin is on my list of hate too. So don't. It's not just a hate all
Hey,
Drake all day thing.
there are some useful origins as well.
It,
You mean to tell me you
that's
don't like a
debatable.
90s
No,
RV
it's not
turned
debatable. There are some
into a cruise
useful
liner?
origins.
It is debatable. Anyways, so first off, it has to have a function, a real function. Secondly, it has to be as close to symmetrical as possible. Okay. The only Drake ship that I have actually bought into is more so for its function than its symmetry, and
Mhm.
that is the Ironclad. The only thing about the Ironclad that really triggers my OCD is you don't fly the ship from the command center that is right on top. You fly it from the command module that is attached to it on the side. And it's like, okay, why there? Why on the side? Like you've made the 400i, right? You know you've got the stairs that drop down. Why not take that module and use those same stairs, put it on top, like make a little docking bay for it that's perfectly for it, have it land, the door opens, the stairs go down, and then you can transition from pod to ship and back again, right? Nice symmetry, right on top, beautiful. But no, we're just gonna slap it on the side. Fucking Drake. God
We're
damn it.
just Yeah, exactly. We're just gonna do what we can. We don't need to go the extra mile. This is gonna work for you. We got you.
Oh,
done.
and the best part is, even though there's a command center, which probably have access to all the flight controls also, which, I mean, according to the devs, there's no flight controls in there, but let's face it, you could wire the flight controls into there. It's Drake after all, just run a fucking wire harness. But once the
Sounds like
command
another
module,
reason to own it.
once the command module detaches, it doesn't fly anymore. It's just a floating little box with
It's
six
K-pop.
massive engines on it. 6 massive engines, and it's a floating little box.
I mean, that's how they chose to design it, and you bought into that. So
That it's the only Drake I've bought into. Honestly,
I
and
like the concept of it.
here's the funny thing. So there originally my first Drake hate was the Caterpillar because of the command module position. The second ship that really drove my hate for Drake was the Corsair, and that one really drove me crazy because I was raised in a family that was around aircraft a lot of aeronautic history in my family. And seeing one massive wing on one side and 2 tiny little winglets on the other side, my brain is going, that does not work. There's no way that works. There's no possible way that could work. Even with maneuvering thrusters or ventral thrusters trying to keep it aloft while in flight, that massive wing is generating more lift than the other side can, and more than the thrusters can compensate. So you're going to end up with a ship constantly trying to flip the fuck over, and here you are with fucking, trying to trim out the other side with as much flap as you can, and fucking, it's just not going to work.
Well, you see what you're doing though is arguing and attesting to Drake's superiority of being able to overcome physics by their technological.
That's what I'm fucking talking about right there. Yes, that's exactly right.
I just
intervene
can't.
on this man hard right now.
I just can't. I really no. Anyways, that ship right there is what really cemented my hate for Drake, and I can't explain it. Like, I was okay with the Cuddy Black. I was okay with the Mule. I was okay with, which, by the way, the Mule honestly should not be called the Mule. It should be called the Mountain Goat, because fucking I can climb buildings with it. I shit you not. I've shown a few people in the org, fucking that thing on a almost 90-degree surface, just whoop straight up.
It's trippy.
What about the Vulture? You got hate for the Vulture?
No, I own a Vulture, so I like the Vulture.
Now here's the thing, though. So you have two Drake ships.
So here's, hold on. Let me clarify. I own the Vulture for right now. It will not be a Vulture in the end.
We're dragging this man out the ship closet right now.
That's okay.
What this podcast is about right now.
Yeah.
That's
why I brought the Herald. I segued us into what we needed to do.
We're not talking about systems anymore. We're talking about ships. Anyways,
yes.
So there's a reason I actually bought. There's a very specific reason I got the Vulture. I told you guys multiple times I have an EVE Online background, and in EVE I was both living in nullsec and being an industrial player at the same time. And one of my ships was a ship that looks very similar. Trying to remember the name of it off the top of my head, but for some reason I can't. It's a name similar to the Vulture. But anyways, long story short, looks exactly like two tines. Okay, but it's a mining ship. It's not a salvage ship. It's a mining ship.
Yeah.
Okay. Has the 2 forks on the front, has the cabin sitting on top, has the engines out the back, just whole 9 yards. Looks literally, you know what?
So you like Drake's design, is what you're saying?
It's not the design. It's not the design.
Drake's design really appealed to you. Well, Drake designed the Vulture, my friend. And if you really liked that ship because it looked like a ship you used to own, so you bought it because it looked a certain way, you're into Drake's design. I hate to break it to you.
So this is
what I've got to say though, I mean, the Vulture to me looks like a yellow scaled down version of a Covenant dropship from early Halo.
I could see that actually. Yeah, no. That's valid.
All it's missing is a glowing blue force field going between the 2 prongs on the front.
Keezy said, confirmed he loves Drakes. I knew he was cool.
Look,
you know, and I don't disagree
I swear
with
I'm not a
Omega's
closet
statement.
Drake guy, okay?
I don't agree with Omega's statement, honestly. Like, Drake doesn't design well, but I think that's on purpose.
So
I think they're
here's
not
the thing
supposed to
about
be designed well.
here's the thing about Drake. Drake reminds me of another EVE Online faction called the Minmatar, and the Minmatar were made fun of because of their ships and the way that they're designed. There was a phrase called "trust in the rust," and that was a Minmatar phrase. The other thing was it was built with duct tape, or something to do with duct tape. The joke was all about duct tape. Now, the lore behind Minmatars, they were slaves to the Amarian race, and mind you, they're all humans, that just different. Anyways, it's race. It's a race war. Anyways, they were enslaved. And the only way that they won their freedom was they actually, from the Amarian junkyards, pieced together their own ships, and they fought with junkyard ships. I shit you not. Their first ships were literally from the junkyard. As they won their freedom, they started producing their own ships, and they looked better and better as time went on. But the Minmatar aesthetic still looked very much like plates welded together, just shit out of a junkyard welded together.
My question is, how did
and
they
that's kind of what Drake reminds me of.
That's valid.
How did they function?
What do you mean?
Well, the ships you're referencing, did they function exceptionally well?
Well, they weren't high tech, if that's what you're asking. They didn't use like energy weapons. They didn't use beam weapons. They didn't use hybrid weapons, things that were like, rail guns or anything like that. They used straight kinetic weapons, just bullets out of a gun. Oh. So they worked, but it was very low tech, and that's kind of what their aesthetic was.
Imagine if that was a Drake thing. You try to put like high tech weapons on your Drake, and they fuck up sometimes. You throw NDBs on your Cutlass Black, and
Dude,
sometimes
they really should.
One of them doesn't shoot because Drake life.
I hope that they implement blowing like a head gasket on your freaking power plant. That way you can buy a cork board and fix it.
Yeah, see, your engineer on a Drake is like some guy from like the middle of Daymar, and he's got a slam problem, but he's really good at what he does.
The only guy that's good, that's able to do what he does.
Yeah. He's like, you trust me, I want to work with this guy. Like, yeah, he's a junkie. It's like, no, but he knows what he's doing. Trust me. You put that guy in a Drake ship, he'll fix any problem you got.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't bring any slam around him because you'll lose it. That would be the move.
You start hemorrhaging atmosphere from getting peppered from other ships. He just pulls out his dip out of his lip and shoves it in a hole. Fixed it.
He's like, no, I got this, man. It's fine. It's fine. We're gonna be okay.
All right, guys. So here, this right here, this is the EVE Online ship.
Damn, that really does look like a vulture, though.
Okay.
Are you showing it?
It's if you have the YouTube stream pulled up, he's got it up.
Oh, hold up. I'm way behind on the YouTube. I thought I hit mute. I hit pause. Okay, I'm watching.
I don't know why I can't find the name of this thing. Let me click this.
Crispy's right. A fleet of heralds transport an entire crew, and you get them in there safe and sound. I'll tell you what.
This is called the Venture. The name of the ship is called the Venture. It's a mining ship. It's a mining venture.
Venture Vulture.
Oh my god.
Okay, are you ready for this?
Scam citizen.
There's the Vulture.
Bruh.
Bro, where's that soundbite from Spider-Man where the fucking guy, the head of the newspaper's laughing? Where's that laugh? I want that fucking laugh right now.
That's an Overseer thing. Overseer put that on the list.
What'd you say? I'm sorry. I was caught off guard. Am I looking at a vulture?
Which one's what? Which one's the vulture? Which one's the venture again? Excuse me.
That is hilarious.
Top one and bottom one.
Yeah. Top one's the
I was making a joke.
No, that's actually. This is actually like This is a Pal World Pokemon scandal in the making right here. Like dead ass. This is
Okay.
what this is.
I shit you not. Okay, you can take Star Wars and Eve, and you can find all the Star Citizen ships between those two things.
Well, it's like one movie night we did some space movie, and like we realized that one of the ships looked just exactly like a Connie, I think. And it was like some 80s space movie, and we were like, oh yeah, the person who helped design, I don't know if it was the Connie or if it was some other ship, but there was some ship, and we were like, that they watched this movie
So I
and
can
like
tell you
had
there's a
this
lot
ship
of
in mind.
there's a lot of influence from The Expanse as well.
Maybe it was The Expanse. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm not good on sci-fi movies, so my recollection isn't well. But I do remember just being like, oh yeah, like that designer definitely has seen this movie before.
Yeah. In fact,
Yeah, so it
I was
wasn't
told
Expanse. Omega said we haven't seen Expanse. So it couldn't have been that. It was some 80s space movie though. No, it wasn't a comedy. It was like a standard like space movie. I just don't remember what the name of it was because I don't yeah.
But anyway, so
No more.
long story short, yeah.
Same ship.
Those
Same ship, different option.
Yeah.
That's actually mind blowing to me how similar those ships are. They're like the exact same fucking thing.
So, anyways, that's why I liked the Drake Vulture. Is
So
because I
two
played
Drake
EVE Online
ships.
first.
You own 2 Drake ships.
No, currently I own 1 Drake ship. I owned 2 for a minute, but the other one has been upgraded.
All right, so we've unpacked that box. Now, what about Origin? How many Origin ships do you actually own?
0.
Uh-huh. Sure. And we'll get to that next week. See you later, folks. No, just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I've got 0 of those ships.
I still agree more on the Origin hate because there's not many Origins I really do like. There's a couple of them that are good, and then the rest are just like somebody in the chat earlier said when they see Drake they think, or when they think of sci-fi they think Drake, and when I think rich sci-fi I think of Origin. So I think they did a good job with that in their design. I still hate most of the design of Origin ships. They're, like I said, there's a couple I like. All the big ones suck except the 400i. I like the 300 series.
Here.
And then the M50 is my dog. So like, but the 100 series, meh. And then, like I said, the big ships are stupid. I'm not. Anytime I see a soap bar, I'll fucking throw that shit down the drain.
Freaking waffle stomp that shit.
Yeah, literally. But the 400i has a soft place. That ship's beautiful. I really do like that ship. Now,
well,
I will agree that there are better ships that can do the 400i's job. Like, I think there's much better case scenarios, but like Stompy has one, for example, and he uses it very well. He uses it often, and for what he needs it for, it's a good unit. You know what I mean? Like, it's got good health, and you got the bay.
Yeah, the tankiness for its size is probably the best part about it. It feels tankier than a Connie.
Yeah,
not gonna lie, I can take some beatings on that thing.
It does seem tankier than a Connie, honestly. Like when I shoot at him, like the Connie,
it feels like forever.
Yeah, 400i's are strong, and I can give them that. But and that's the other thing about Origin is like their shields. Like you shoot at a 600i or an 890 jump, their shields are nuts. Like they're fucking strong.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you get to the small ones, they lack. So. I can still agree with Origin hate more, but Drake hate I will always confront with a passion.
Vulture says, the Vultures keeps saying, why I cannot read. Fuck. Vulture keeps saying, gimme.
Yeah. Exactly. Origin doesn't have 2 delusions of being the future, just luxury.
All right, enough about my ships. Enough about my ships. Let's back to the systems. More. No, back to the systems.
A tale of 2 manufacturers.
A tale of 2 hated manufacturers. But no, I mean, just to kind of wrap up that whole thing, I'm RSI, I'm Anvil, and I'm Aegis. Those are the
can
aesthetics I
respect
like.
that, though. I can respect that. Anvil fanboy too.
So
Now, what other compare and contrasts as far as Pyro versus Stanton are there to break down? Because you look at money and you look at like view, like beauty and all that. But what else can you?
I feel like the system Pyro is missing POIs, right? So for example, if you go to Bloom, okay, there's plenty. I like that, respectable, because Bloom is a populated planet. It's where I believe Bloom is where citizens of prosperity are trying to lay down roots. Then you go to fuck, what is the next one? What's Pyro 3?
I don't remember the name of Pyro 3. Is it just called Pyro 3?
Gentlemen?
Monox. So Pyro 3 is Monox. Monox is where you see a lot of Xenothreat. Okay. Pyro 1, there's still a decent amount of POI, but not a lot because it's next to the sun and it's literally 225C. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Pyro 4. Pyro 4 has a decent amount of POI. Well, I shouldn't say a decent amount. It has some POI, but they're all clustered on one side of the planet. I don't know why there's nothing on the other side. It's a beautiful planet. I love it. But it's also a planet that's in orbit of, sorry, Pyro 4 is what I'm talking about. But it's a planet in orbit of Pyro 5.
Yeah.
And Pyro 5 is a gas giant, which means it has no POI. However, it has a lot of moons. It has 5 moons. And if you go to each moon, there's 2 POIs, 2 to 3 POIs on every moon.
Yeah, I feel like the POIs are lacking, and I would agree that there are probably some they haven't shown us yet.
And that may be the case. And then Pyro 6. Pyro 6 goes back to having a decent amount of POI, despite the fact that it's 123 negative. So, I mean, Pyro 5, or Pyro 6 is an ice planet, or at least it acts like an ice planet, while the other one is fucking burning balls. Which honestly makes sense.
More reason. It gives more reason for those suits too. Like in Stanton, you're like, yeah, I don't really need like you might actually need, and at some point you might need to be on a hot planet for a long time. So you'll need suits that can deal with that, so you don't have to run inside and cool down, and then run out and then run in.
Well, here's the funny thing, right? So there are more POIs on Terminus than there are on Pyro 1, which doesn't have a name, by the way. Pyro 1 has some POIs, and one of them, Rustville. The only thing you're hauling to Rustville is hydrogen, waste, and aluminum, I think. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing there, but it's clearly a trash pit. It's where you throw all your waste because it's fucking hot. It's gonna burn away. Anyways, over in Terminus, however, there's lots of POIs, despite the fact that it's negative 120 something C, which I don't know what the conversion is in freedom units, but it's fucking cold. It's unlivable cold. And yet there's more POIs there by at least double than there are on Pyro 1. Now, admittedly, I mean, again, I don't know the freedom unit conversion, but 225C is fucking hot. Like, unbearably hot. Like, I'm surprised you can get out of your ship hot.
Yeah. And there's not a lot. See, and that's where, like, my knowledge, I don't know what the missions are like. Are there missions that are forcing you to go deal with these planets' temperatures a lot right now?
Well, I mean, if you're running cargo and your ship doesn't have a cargo or it doesn't have a tractor on it, you have to get out and move it all by hand. And
That's
if you have a ship that's capable of hauling 150 units of cargo, you're going to be out in that temperature for long enough to have to. You're going to overheat at least once. Once guaranteed, twice for possibly. So, yeah, I don't know. But long story short, comparison of POIs. I think Stanton has far more POIs, far more places to visit with less planets. Funny enough, Stanton has more moons. All the moons in Pyro, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but all the moons in Pyro are around Pyro 5. I've not been to any other moon other than moons in Pyro 5. There's Monarchs and I'm pretty sure one of those planets has a moon. I just don't know which one, and I've never been to it. It's never
I
even
think you're right.
registered on my radar. Literally, never registered on my radar.
Well, and I think that's also in part credit to two factors. For one, missions being weird. We're not getting sent everywhere we could be. And I'm sure once missions get a lot more stable, we're going to be out in different areas. But there's also, there's also the other factor of there's something so fun to do that a lot of time is put into that. Like you've done cargo hauling for your missions to make money, but outside of that, you're having a lot of fun with the zones and the that gameplay loop, and that's good, because it's something good that they brought into the game that is seeing a lot of return from. So it's keeping from as much exploration as could happen because we're very invested in this gameplay loop right now, and so down the road we may find more things that maybe other people are, where it's like probably not like as crucial, but it's more interest. It's like, oh, well, there's a POI here, and like you get a spawn rate. Like there was a consistent spawn rate at Ghost Hollow of like certain weapons. And so like maybe there's POIs we don't know about that like spawn an NPC with a certain armor kit, or certain weapons spawn at these like loot boxes in these places that we don't know about because we haven't gotten to explore. In part to the missions not working, and in part to our interest being placed elsewhere.
Right.
Which is great about Pyro. That makes Pyro, I mean, as a whole, I think Pyro's a better system than Stanton. Even though I've spent a lot of time in Stanton, there's much more to explore. And I feel like half of it's even hasn't been touched yet by, like, there's probably tons of stuff out there that like we haven't found because the space is so wide,
Well, I mean, like Jasmine sings about, it's a whole new world.
Yeah, it literally is. It literally is.
And some of the viewers are going, Jasmine, what the fuck is he talking about? Don't worry, you'll figure it out.
You'll learn.
Yeah. and if you want to know how I fucked up that song for my wife, I'll tell you after the stream. But anyways, so all right, let's recap. Sightseeing. I think Pyro is objectively better looking than Stanton. Money making. What do we consider? Pyro or Stanton?
At the moment,
I'm gonna go with Stanton on this one.
I was gonna say I'd say Stanton at the moment, but that could easily change.
Okay, so Stanton has the money making, which is funny because you would think risk versus reward, most of the money should be in Pyro. Well, we don't know all the missions just yet, so it could be that, I don't know. And honestly, the missions shouldn't be the only way to make money. How come we're making more money in Stanton than we are in Pyro? Topic for another time. Anyways, all right, so sightseeing, beautiful. We've chosen Pyro for that. Money making, we've chosen Stanton for that. POIs. There are more POIs, I believe. Despite the fact there being more physical bodies in Pyro, I believe Stanton wins the POIs.
Yeah. Now, having said all of that, if we were to, as a whole, just rank fun and outright how much fun you're having in the video game, Pyro wins all day.
Oh yeah, if we're just
across the board, everybody would agree with that.
If you agree, if you get rid of all the other things and you're just looking at fun, yeah, I'm gonna go with Pyro as well.
And I would like the idea.
Oh, okay, Carpskin says Stanton.
Carpskin, I mean, and listen, I like that. I like that there's a difference. Some people are like, no, Stanton would be more fun. Is more fun. That's good. I want there to be a reason that that system has population. As any other system that comes out, there needs to be reasons to keep people there. And as long as there's somebody else there as well, yeah. And he's not wrong. There is more to do in Stanton because as far as it goes right now, like for one, you're traveling a lot. Like it's not like you can just set up like you could in RCorp and just do missions around RCorp and straight chill out. Like there's not that in Pyro. Like if you're in Pyro, you got to be moving, you got to go different places, which also takes time, in your gaming session. And depending on how long you're playing, it's easier to go do a bunch of stuff in a smaller star system than it is in a bigger star system, you know.
So I got one more thing to consider here. Okay. That thing
Mhm.
being, what do we think about sorry, give me a sec while I recapture that thought in my brain. Um did I just lose it? Acid continue.
Oh,
I'll figure it out.
oh
I'll
no.
I'll interrupt you again here in a minute.
You're good. I agree though that there's more to do in Stanton. I think that as if you're looking to play with a group, it's going to be a lot harder to find group things to do in Stanton because for one, and partially I think because it's buggy. I think once it's not buggy, there will be a lot of reason to go to Stanton and do stuff as a group, especially like if you're spending time in Pyro. You leave Pyro, you go into Stanton, you take a group and you go do some bounty hunting. You want to go do some pirating of some traders, when everything's working well, I think there's going to be a lot more people that are going back and forth and doing this here, and then they're like, we're going to go over here, and then we'll go back, and then we go here and back, and I think we're going to see a lot more trading to and from systems. We probably do now, but I think that's going to have a bigger factor.
So there's one thing we didn't talk about was the Lagrange points.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a lot of Lagrange points in Stanton. However, in Pyro, there's a fuck ton of them. There are asteroid bases like crazy. The only problem is every asteroid base, if you've been to one, you've literally been to all of them. And I do mean that literally. They look exactly alike. The only difference is the
Yeah.
NPCs in them.
No, they look so similar. You're 100%
Like,
correct.
if you're gonna put all of those things in, don't get me wrong, it's cool flying up to them. It's cool flying through those nebulas. All the rocks, they're in different places, they're different shapes. I get it. That's fun and cool. That's the only unique part about it. The base inserted into the rock, though, same color scheme, same models, same NPCs, same everything. There's nothing different about it.
I got one thing that's positive.
Go ahead.
Consistent loot.
Valid.
Yeah,
Very
that's true.
valid.
I haven't even been to all of them. Maybe certain ones have what's it called? Certain ones have like tweaker mods specifically only at that rab. Or always bring a buddy when going to rabs because you're gonna have to knock them out anyways and throw them through the security desk basically in order to get the awesome loot that's inside. Hey, it could be a C-54, it could be a P4. Maybe with a tweaker mod, maybe with a Scorch 4X Tau, you never know.
That does make it like a reason to go back and be like, okay. And it's kind of like same idea with the bunkers in Stanton. Once you've been to a bunker, you've been to them all. But
yeah,
you want to go back and get some guns. You might find some good loot. And I think that as more star systems come out, we're gonna probably see this.
No, hold on. That's not entirely true. Different places you go to with the bunkers, they have different layouts. Oh, hold on. Let me rephrase. They're similar core layouts, but the places where you enter are slightly different, right? So sometimes you enter on the second floor and you go downstairs. Sometimes you enter on the basement floor and you go upstairs. And sometimes it's from a different approach angle.
Yeah, there is that difference. You're right about that.
But and sometimes there's elements missing, like the server room may not even be there.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong, but like visually, like the kind of the same idea though. It's like kind of cut and paste, and then you go to Pyro and you get kind of cut and paste asteroid bases, and then we'll get a new system, and then it'll be like they'll all have their look, and then so every system's gonna have its assets. You know what I mean? There might be shared assets, but it's like this is how they build bases in Pyro. This is how they build bases in Stanton.
Oh no, I agree. But here's the thing. for the amount of money that has been raised for this game, and we've talked about this off stream at least a good number of times, but I feel like the amount of money that they've raised for this game, that the asset library that they have should be considerably larger, and yet they're using the same elements over and over and over again. And the thing that bothers me is they're using the same. You know what? Let's do this. Look at houses on the East Coast versus houses on the West Coast versus houses in Europe versus houses in China, and tell me that they don't have their own distinct architectural differences. How come every time I go from one planet to another planet to a moon to a PO any
Yeah.
other random POI, why is it always the same architecture?
That's a good point. Yeah.
I
Can't
mean,
disagree with
let's
that.
expand those palettes a bit. Let's make those libraries of assets for bases bigger. Get more architecture types into those palettes because it's the same shit. I mean, I can see the difference. I mean, others may not be able to, or you may want to delude yourself into thinking, Mr. Developer, that, oh, well, there's enough here on the palette that we can make them in any number of combinations and they all look different. It's the same fucking architecture.
Same patterns of combinations. We ain't fooled.
I don't know,
Makes up the
honestly.
architecture.
I don't know if we'll ever get. I don't know if they'll get that
Well, here's
changed up in detail.
Here's the funny thing.
I would be
They could
shocked.
take that palette that they have and they could change the textures. At the very least, they could change the textures. They could have
Yeah.
5 different texture types based on the terrain that they're around. I don't know, but they don't even have that. It's all the same texture and all the same models. Same architecture, same texture. It's sad, really.
That's why I'm interested to see Squadron 42. Like,
it's almost
what kind
800
of
million.
assets are like swapped back and forth. You know what I mean? Like when we go explore a place in Squadron 42, am I gonna be like, oh, this looks just like Brio's Breaker? You know, like this is literally Brio's Breaker, except they just didn't put it on tape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're probably going to see the exact same shit. There may be a handful of things that were designed specifically for that game and then never again.
Well, and that's what I'm curious too, though, is it begs the question, like, am I going to see Brio's Breaker Yard? Am I going to go to Brio's Breaker Yard in Squadron 42 or like insert location here, you know, that we've been to in the PU? Am I going to explore Stanton
I mean,
at all
you
or
will, but it
Pyro
won't be
in the
called Brio's
game?
Breaker Yard.
Fair. Is that not okay? Is that not set in the same, like they're the same universe? So
No,
like, why wouldn't it be called Brio's Breaker Yard?
you're in a different star system.
You only stay in one star system the whole game?
I don't think so, but I know a vast majority of your stuff is in like 3 systems that don't exist yet.
Okay, fair. Yeah, that would make sense then. So like then down the road they can be like, yeah, it's like when you played Squadron 42. That would make more sense.
But the fact that there's some of those star systems that are already in Squadron 42 means that they're already partially done for the PU. They just have to move the assets over and then finish the rest of the star system.
That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to think about, honestly. Just feel like there are some star systems that are just kind of half flushed out already. We don't even know, but they're there. I mean, sure, we've seen the gameplay footage of like other systems, so I guess they really do have to have a lot of work done on other star systems, don't they?
All right. So let's wrap this up and let's place bets. And this is a long-term bet, right?
Okay.
The bet is this: which star system comes out next?
What are the other? Remind me of the other.
You have Castra, Terra, and Nyx.
Castra and Terra are security, and Nyx is no security.
Correct.
I say I'm going between Terra or Castra. I don't think we get another no security. I think they're going to give a security system again, and then a no security, and then a security.
That's logical. Okay.
I don't know the differences between Terra and Castra, though. I don't.
So Castra is a border system, and it was used as a staging point against the Xi'an during the Xi'an Cold War. Terra is a according to lore, it was going to be the new capital of the UEE, but I don't think that ever happened. I don't know the lore exactly, but I think that was one thing someone tried to make it the new capital of the UEE and that failed. So it's very much a secure system. It's one of the highest security systems out there, and it's a massive trade hub.
I bet we get that then. I bet that's the one that's next after Pyro.
Stompy,
What's up? Sorry.
what system do you think is next? What's the next star system they make?
Next.
Okay.
Next, okay.
So I'm gonna disagree with Terra. I think Terra is gonna be the last star system we get. I think that'll be number 5. I think system number 3 that we get is gonna be Nyx. As much as I want it to be Castra, because Castra looks fucking gorgeous, and I really want to visit that landing zone there, I think we're gonna get Nyx. Primarily because they already have Levski. Okay, Levski already existed in Stanton for a while. Now they're probably going to change the look around a little bit, but it used to be in Stanton, so they already have it. Secondly, most of Nyx is asteroids anyways. That's easy to generate. Thirdly, it only has 3 planets, and the planets are basically uninhabited. So it's going to be a very easy star system to make. Castra only has 2 planets. I think it's 2 planets. Anyways, only has 2 planets. And one of them is high vegetation, high mountains, and just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I can't remember what the name of the landing zone is or what the name of the planet is, but I think that's going to be the next star system.
See, I think that I understand your reasoning behind like the simplicity of like, oh, it's easy to make, but I think we're going to get a complex system because Pyro wasn't easy to make. Pyro's huge. Pyro has solar flares. Pyro has a lot to work with, and I could see how their next system would want to be something that has a lot of mechanics, a lot of systems to work with, big trading hub, things like that. Also, you introduce a high security, so you have no security, mid security, high security systems out now. And I could see them wanting to get very complex things out of the way first. So when it comes to introducing easy system like Nyx, they can be like, all right, we can put it out. It's going to be a pretty easy system to implement. So we do it later because like we need to work out complex stuff now. So that way we know how to deal with problems on something easy. That's my mindset, but I understand the simplicity. Maybe they do go that route.
I'm gonna agree with Carve Skin here. He's predicting Nyx, Castra, Terra in that order, and I would agree with that exact order.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting. Now, CIG might, and I emphasize the might, surprise us. They might surprise us by releasing Nyx and Castra at the same time. Because it's all together between the 2 star systems, it's 5 planets.
I could see a dual release just because it would also really start to split up a player base.
I mean, let's face it. You know, that's one thing we hadn't really talked about. 600 people in a shard. 600.
Yeah.
That's the limit before it gets really unstable. As soon as you start hitting like 580 people, servers become near unplayable. Okay. Even with 600 people and a second star system, because that's all they did. They added a second star system that's twice the size. So we've taken the playable space of this and we've added this 2 more times. So we've increased the play space by a factor of 3, and we've increased the player base by a factor of 6. But yet, does it feel more crowded?
No.
To me, it feels less crowded. Why is that?
To me, it feels the exact same.
It feels less crowded to me.
Actually, the only thing I will say, and I don't know, I get a lot more hangar queues, especially in Stanton. Like at Seraphim, if you go to land at Seraphim, like 90% of the time you get a queue and you kind of have to wait for a hangar.
Come on, Powder.
So in that aspect, I have seen a little bit more like high population because that's
Okay.
happening,
Okay.
or like leaving your hangar. Even in Pyro,
But
there's sometimes
but
where to leave my hangar, I've got a queue.
but what about your perception? Like, if you didn't
It feels the
have
same.
numbers, if you didn't have
Yeah,
numbers to dictate that, just looking around you as you play, does it feel more crowded or less crowded or the same?
it feels the same. Like my perception, it feels the same. It feels like I see some people once in a blue moon. I run into a guy at an home.
Now, maybe
You
it's
know, I
just
leave the
me because
station, I
I've
see
never
people
left
going.
Pyro, but it feels less crowded. I run into
Pyro
players
probably
every now
feels
and
less
then.
crowded because it's so big. Like it's just, it's so big, so there's so many places to go.
It's funny though, like I see so many abandoned ships, like more abandoned ships in Pyro than I've ever seen in Stanton.
Yeah.
You know what I
Literally
also see
loads
more
more.
of in Pyro than I do in Stanton?
What's that?
Abandoned Polari.
Yeah,
No
there's a lot
kidding.
of Polaris just left
One of the servers is so
everywhere.
dog shit half the time.
Mhm.
Fucking clogging that shit up.
Hey guys, look, when salvage becomes a thing, like when we can take Polaris and just melt them down into component or into their raw materials, people will learn to stop leaving the Polaris laying around. Mainly because once they lose it, they won't have a Polaris to leave around anymore.
Jesus.
And then, guess what? They're gonna have to come to someone to buy a new one.
True.
This guy right
Hmm.
here.
You
Yeah.
gotta come
I
on.
I
Hey,
will
I'm your guy.
I'm gonna keep a list of everyone I sell a Polaris to, and I'm gonna follow them and wait for them to leave it, and then I'm gonna take it back and I'm gonna melt it down, and then they're gonna come back to me for a new Polaris.
That's
You
some
can sell them
business.
their old one right back to them. There you go.
Repeat
See you in a
business,
few
man.
weeks.
Repeat business.
Mhm. I have exceptionally well repeat customers. It's amazing.
Oh man, you know what? That'd be great. Topic for another time, I'm sure, but fucking make a ship, sell the ship, send someone to follow them. First opportunity they get to steal it and bring it back home, and then put it
Oh
back
my
on the
god.
yard to resell.
It's like, wow, well, you just bought a ship from us. What are you doing back so soon? Yeah, I left you guys and I got pirated like 20 minutes after I left. And I need a new ship now. It's like, oh man, that's so unfortunate. Well, here, come on back. Do you want the same thing or you want something different? What are you looking to get, man? Let's
Looking
get
to
you a new
upgrade?
ship. uh,
Oh man, the
oh, you
Hellstern
lost all your money?
shipyards.
We got a payment plan. Don't worry.
Yeah, dude.
All right, guys. Well,
AUEC debt.
if you're watching the stream and you're experiencing Star Citizen for the first time and you want to get into it, right over here is a referral code. Feel free to enter that in. Gives you a little bit of something, gives me a little bit of something, and it's fun in the long run. If you are new to the stream, we are streaming this every week, every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Feel free to tune in and watch from the beginning while it's live and be a part of the conversations. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell so that way you know whenever we go live. And we will see you guys next week. Guys, thanks for all of your input, all the conversations in chat. Thanks, guys. And we'll see you next week.
Bye. Have a beautiful time.
Buzz.
Came straight out of Stanton, credits in mind, chasing new missions and reputations to grind. But every place he jumped, someone lay in wait, tearing his ship down and sealing his fate. He took to chat in a rage, the system's a joke. You're blocking me from content and I hope you choke. These griefers are trash, just ruining the game. CIG fixed this, now I'm entitled to play. Welcome to Pyro, where the wild ones roam, a lawless frontier and you're far from home. Here it's kill or be killed, where no mercy can be found. If you want a PV, you better stand your ground. Welcome to Pyro, where the rules don't exist. Survival's a challenge, and the shooters rarely miss. He typed in all caps. This game is so unfair. They camp every station, they just don't care. But the locals laughed, their replies came fast. If you can't hold your own, you're not gonna last. You wanted pyro, now you've got a taste. This isn't Stanton, this is a different place. No cops, no laws, just fire and steel. Out here survival's all about the kill. Welcome to Pyro, where the wild ones roam. A lawless frontier and you're far from home. Here it's kill or be killed, where no mercy can be found. If you want a PV, you better stand your ground. Welcome to Pyro, where the rules don't exist. Survival's a challenge, and the shooters rarely miss. Now he's docked back in Stanton, licking his wounds, trading those missions for a safer tune. But some will rise and they'll take the test, embrace the chaos and outlast the rest. For Pyro's not a place for the weak or afraid. It's a forge of warriors, where legends are made. Welcome to Pyro, where the wild ones roam. A lawless frontier and you're far from home. Here it's kill or be killed, where no mercy can be found. If you want a PV, you better stand your ground. Welcome to Pyro, where the rules don't exist. Survival's a challenge, and the shooters rarely miss. So grab your gun or get out while you can. This is Pyro's way, it's every man for man. No safe zones, no refuge, no places to hide. If you wanna make it here, you fight or you die. For every entitled whiner who comes crying to chat, there's a pack of wolves waiting to make you a stat. So welcome to Pyro, where the stars burn bright. They'll chew you up here if you can't take it in stride. A no man's land, unbridled and pure. Welcome to Pyro, where only the strong endure.